Hi, and welcome to A Better Place. As you know, this is our series on love and relationships. And today we have a very special guest in the studios. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. As I mentioned, this is our series on love and relationships. And today we have a very special guest in the studios who will be discussing with us on the topic of love and relationships. Mr. Havertong, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So, Mr. Havertong, I know that you are very vocal and very known in the community of St. Martin as someone who's very dedicated to service. But today we want to switch the topic of your service-oriented character. We want to talk a bit about love and relationships. But before we get into that, I would like you to tell the viewing audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I was born in Suriname. Yes, but at a very tender age of 9 months, I moved to Aruba with my mother, father, and my brothers and sisters, because my father went to work at the Lago Oil and Transport Company there in Aruba. And so I grew up in Aruba from very small, as a little kid. And there I had my education. And I worked, after high school, I went to work at the post office in Aruba. And after a couple of years, in 1972, I was then transferred to St. Martin. You know, at that time, when you worked for the federal government, the government of the Netherlands Antilles, you could have been transferred to any one of the 6 islands. And there was a vacancy here, and I was transferred then to St. Martin. I was transferred for 3 years, but here I am after 42 years. I'm still here in St. Martin. Because I seem to love it. I was here before that. In 1962, I came to St. Martin to play cricket. I played a lot of cricket in Aruba, so we came once and we played cricket here in St. Martin, Statia, and in St. Kitts. And from then already, I had loved the island, and I made lots of friends. So when I was asked to come here for 3 years, I immediately accepted. My family also accepted. So I came with my wife and 3 kids here to St. Martin. And here, of course, I started to work in the post office. And then I also worked as acting public prosecutor, and also as a judge of instruction, you know. So, and member of the Lions Club, I'm the chairman of the RODAC, the Royal Decorations Advisory Committee. I'm chairman of the parole board, you know, and of course, name it, so many different things
that you do.
That I do,
right.
You know, but yes, as you said, I'm vocal. I love to talk about certain things. What I love to do is to really educate people.
Right.
You know, that is the important part of it, really, to make people aware of certain things so that they can do better in their lives. And that's what I'm all about, really. And I try it through radio programs, TV programs, or even even talking to people.
Right.
Because at my home I have an office where, you know, and people come to me and ask me for advice on certain things, and you know, gladly I give them advice. I help them out, you know, how to go through things. Sometimes I do a little counseling also. I keep myself real busy.
Right. Well, you see, so that's in a little synopsis about Mr. Havertong. Now, while you were talking, you talked about moving to St. Martin with your family. So
Yes.
that's how we now go right into the whole topic of love and relationship.
Relationship.
You moved to Aruba at the tender age of 9 months, you said. So
Yes.
does that mean that your wife is also Arubian?
Well, my wife is in the same situation as I am.
Okay.
She was born in Colombia,
Okay.
but at the age of 3, she moved with her mother to Aruba.
Okay.
Yes, and there she also grew up. Yes, of
Right.
course.
So tell us a little bit about that love relationship.
Oh, wow. Let me see. That is about 59 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, very long time that we met, yes, in 1955. So, yes, we're looking at 59 years.
Wow.
Yes, in 55, sorry, I was about to finish school, and but there was one subject in school that I never liked and that I was pretty weak in, and that was maths. So my brother, who lived in the vicinity of where my wife at that time, lived around there. So every afternoon, my brother rather got someone to give me extra lessons in maths. And that person who was giving me the extra lessons in maths lived in the same street where the aunt of my wife lived.
Okay.
So every afternoon I had to pass there, and she would go to by her aunt to play with her cousins, to
Yeah.
visit her cousins, and so. So I would pass, and she was then 15, and and I was 18, and. So one day I would look at her and say, looks good, everything. But at that time I was a bit shy too, And so one day her cousin told me, you know that my cousin likes you, So I was very much delighted about it, because to be truthful, it was more or less love at first sight. I really, when I saw her, I also liked her, and I said, well, and immediately I started to be serious about at that age. Okay, a lot of girls around,
Right.
and so, but still, my mind was really set. To be honest with you, my mind was set. There were others who were interested, etc. But. Eventually, I said, no, this is the way to go. And of course, it all started very secretly, because in those days, you couldn't just say, well, look, this is my girlfriend, and so, or this is my boyfriend. So we had to do it very secretly. And even when I after that, when I finished school, I started to work right away, and. Well, she has only one brother, which is Lucho. I don't know if you know him. He used to give tennis lessons here. And, I would even buy him ice cream and things like that, not to go and tell his mother, we met secretly,
Yeah.
etc. And in those days, we had a matinee, which was, in the afternoon, Sunday afternoon. So you would meet etc. But... our minds were really set. Honestly, yes, this is what we want. And so after a while, I decided to make the move, and I said, well, look, I would like to go and speak to you. Because the mother knew me quite well, too.
Right.
Her mother knew me quite well. So she said, okay. I said, well, I would like to come home and, and make it official, and so. All right, so then afterward, my mother, who had already moved back to Suriname because her father had passed away and her father had a business, so my mother, since my father was close to retirement, she didn't worry to come back. She stayed there, and my father would go back to Suriname after retirement. But I specifically asked my mother to also come over, and I wanted my mother also to meet her. You see, because my brother knew her before I knew her,
Right.
because he lived close by, and And so my mother came, and well, my mother was a very critical person, you know, and I brought my mother to also visit the home and so, and to say, well, look, this is what I want, and so. And okay, I had the consent of my mother and both of her mother also, and so, and then we really started to plan life. We started to plan that we want to get married and we want to have a family. Right. You know, we were very determined about that. So we started, she was working, I was working, you know, and we really and truly started to put aside our money, you know, and start to plan what we want to do, etc. So the only thing I said, we will have a simple marriage because of the fact that, you know, okay, there was those days the salaries were small, you know, you could not afford to have a big party and whatnot and so. But her mother said, well, this is my only girl child. I only have 2 children, you know. It's my only girl child. I don't just want to have a simple wedding. So, okay, but our mind was set on our marriage, to set up a home and to have everything, whatever we can afford in our home. You know, it was not set on having a party, right. You know, because you see, with that small salary, you could not afford to take chances either. So, okay, the day came that we were getting married, and her mother really paid for the whole wedding. I mean, for the party, etc. And in those days, you know, you had to have a lot of bridesmaids and you know, etc., etc. But it was a lovely, lovely wedding, really. And the lady who made my wife's wedding dress, she was from Curacao. She came over from Curacao because she was, let me say, very famous in making wedding dresses. And she advertised it, you know, on the radio. So, you know, everybody came to see the wedding. And so, and I was very much involved in church also. So I, you know, everybody, and we had a very nice wedding, a nice party. One real joke about the party was that at the end of the party, because in those days, well, maybe still now, you have these cakes, you know, the battery cake. So when they were putting the cake into the van, you know, some little boys came and they grabbed part of the cake, you know, grabbed part of the cake and, you know, run off with it. Well, we didn't know about it because we had already left, you know. So the following day, and as you know, in those days, there was no money either for honeymoon to go on a honeymoon, you know. So, so the following day, we heard a knocking on the door. And there were 2 little boys, and they were quite trembling. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, mister, we are the 2 boys that grabbed your wedding cake last night, you know. And our mother told us we must, I don't know how they found the house, you know, that we of course, you know, we must come to apologize. I said, what? I said, well, did you all do that? They said, yes, we did it. I said, well, I don't know. I said, but anyhow, come inside, you know. So we had some cake there, so we cut some cake for them. We said, look, I was a little boy too, and I used to do mischief things too. So here is your cake, don't worry about it. Because they were saying, yes, yes, and my mother said that, you know, she's willing to pay for the cake and whatnot, and so I said, oh, don't worry. I was a little kid just like you too, and I used to do all those things too. So, you know, and we gave them the cake, and they were happy. They ate. We gave them something to drink, you know, and they left. So, as I said, we were geared towards forming this relationship. So, even during the time that we were, as we say in those days, courting, because we courted for about nearly 6 years, you know, it was also building up that relationship between myself and herself. So we had enough time to study each other, to study each other's habits, ways, etc. You know, and those are the things we worked on. And our conversations many times was what we want for our future. Yeah? And we didn't have much, yeah, but nevertheless we were happy and we were satisfied with what we had. And that is what people have to realize also, that you have to be satisfied with what you have. And what you cannot have, you have to also realize that you cannot have it. Yeah? So,
Mr. Havertong,
yeah?
I think we have to take a break. So far, the information you've given us has been very delightful to hear, and I think you kind of summed it up when you said that you planned
Yeah.
for your family, which I believe a lot of persons don't do anymore.
Don't do anymore.
And that's very important. So when we come back, we'll continue discussing more on that topic.
Topic, yes, of course.
Stay tuned, we will be right back.
It's a wireless system. Cable WTN. Go digital WTN. With local TV channel 10. Call and make a date. 542-5898. Down by OBC building, Ruby and staff waiting. 48 channel, fasting with plenty more coming. News and sports from all over. Novella, Creole and Patois. Local thing is priority soon. Papi Menton, Taki Taki. WTN channel TV 10. We'll always be your friend. Check out the scene, we have the best rate. 542-5898. Hey man! WTN K1!
When I say Xerox, I know what you're thinking. Transit fares, as in the 37 billion transit fares we help collect each year. No. Oh, right. You're thinking of the 1.6 million daily customer care interactions Xerox handles, or the 900 million health insurance claims we process. So it's no surprise to you that companies depend on today's Xerox for services that simplify how work gets done, which is pretty much what we've always stood for. With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So, Mr. Havertong, you know, we have only 8 minutes left in the program, so we have to wrap it up, but I want you to tell us how many years you've been married, how you made it work that long, and then to give your advice to some of the, you know, the viewing audience on how to make a relationship last.
Well, in September, my wife and I will be married 53 years. Yes, that's a very long time. How you make it work? Of course, well, as I said from the very beginning, you know, you plan your life together. You do everything together. It is not a macho thing. It is not a woman's thing. It is a relationship where two just like become one.
Right.
And in particular, our happiness has been and will always be, continue to be, our children. Once the children came along, you know, really and truly, this is what, as we said from the beginning, we wanted to have a family. So when the family started, especially when my first son was born, you know, I just went crazy. And when my daughter came, my princess, you know, she, you know, really gave light. And of course, Ivan, the last one, you know, so we have 3 kids. And we have always done everything together as a family. We still do. Although my eldest son lives in Aruba, you know, but we still do with the 2 of them here, and with him, of course, from time to time when he comes over, we still do everything together. We involve our children in everything, you know. And you cannot get married to someone and expect that the bachelor life that you had must continue. You know, yes, but I must be able to do this, I must be... No, you know, there must be an understanding between both parties on what you want in your life and how, and in particular, in the education of your children. Because if you do not involve your children in everything that you do, you know, and your wife, yeah, or your husband, yes, then your marriage is going to fail. Because if you thinking that, yes, but I am the man and I must have the say you know, and things. No. It doesn't go like that. You have to share, you know, and that is what the concept of marriage is all about. You share one another's life. So you respect also. There must also be not only love, but there must be respect also, yeah, for each other. And once you have that, your marriage will always work. Yeah.
I can say, for example, when I went to MPC, I knew your wife.
Yes.
And now as I'm listening to you talk, I cannot remember one day seeing her not happy. She was always a pleasant person, always smiling. You know, that's my memories of her going to MPC. And always caring and asking you, how was your day? How are you going? And up to today, I mean, I can talk for me, but I'm sure it goes for all of the students that's passed through her.
Yes.
You know, she showed that interest. And I think a lot of times, people's interactions is a lot of reflection on how their life is going. So, you know, from that, I guess, you know, that would be the example of why she bloomed all the time, because she had a happy, you know, home, a happy marriage, and so on.
Yes, definitely. You know, and especially with the kids growing up, we did a lot with them. We took them everywhere, you know, and and that is the point also, you know. You cannot have a home where you just come and you eat and you drink and you sit down and you watch TV, you know. No, you must also be in your children's life. Yeah, and once you are in your children's life from small, I can tell you now, you know, that they are so concerned now about us getting older, growing older. You know, they're very concerned about, you know, our health and how we're doing and everything like that. You know, they don't miss a day. You know, my daughter, for instance, she would call her mother every morning prompt, you know, how she slept, how have you been, and everything like that. Have you taken your medication or whatever? You know, so that gives you and that should give anybody the feeling that, hey, to give you a happy feeling, you know. And but if you don't do that, you know, you get frustrated. And then what you get, of course, in every marriage you will have a little argument, you will have a little something, you know. But of course you have to give and take, yeah. So many times it is, as I said, this machismo thing of men thinking that, listen, you know, you don't marry a woman and have her like a furniture. You know, you married a woman because you love her and you want. Right. You know what I mean. You're not a proud. She's not a proud stick that you put there on a pedestal. And when I need you, and I have to have you. But the rest I can do my thing everywhere where I want. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. And one other thing that is very, very important, and that breaks a lot of marriages, is financial situation. The financial situation, if there's no planning, yeah, if people have no patience nowadays to wait to have something or to work towards having something, and that is where a lot of the problems arise. And okay, in my days it was different. Although both of us worked, both of us have always worked until our retirement. We've worked, you know. But it was never about, I have so much money, you only, you know, and things like that. I don't need to share my money with you. No. It is, again, everything comes together, and you do everything together. But if, sometimes they find that, yes, but you're not making enough money, and I make more money than you, and no, that's not the idea. The idea is that that money, whatever money you make, should be shared within the home. You know, for your future, for the children's future, for everything, you know. Because in my days, for instance, I was not fortunate for my children to get a scholarship, so it was hard. So you had to pay along until when, you know, they could have gotten a scholarship and to finish their education. But you had to be geared towards that. Right. So you could not say no. Well, you can't have your education because I need to buy a new car. It doesn't go like that. The car has to wait because the education goes first. You see? So those are the things that people should come to realize, yes, that marriage, yes, is between two persons, yes, that put their minds together and think together and live together and work towards their future together. not one alone saying this the way I want it or that's the way you want it. You know, it goes together. And then you can come to a consensus.
Right. Okay, we've almost reached the end of the program, so I want you now to give just a brief advice to the viewing audience on how to live that blissful marriage life.
Well, as I said, marriage, yes, is two persons like coming together as one. Yeah? So the two minds become like one mind. The planning of your life, of your children, of your future is done together and not by one party alone. Yes? And there must always be understanding. And if it doesn't work, counseling is always there before you go into anything else.
Okay. Well, Mr. Havertong, you know I have to invite you back because I think you have so much of knowledge and information to share. And as you know, this program is all about educating parents, families about how to have a better life, a better family life. So
yeah.
I want to thank you once again for coming on to A Better Place, and we'll have you back soon.
Anytime, no problem.
And to you, the viewing audience, I would like to thank you for having been a part of A Better Place. Stay tuned for future programs. I am your host, Angelique Rumu.